What is up, everybody? Welcome to a fresh take. I got Andre, the game I did guy with me. How you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. Better than Microsoft is going to be doing.
Check out the latest episode of the Winging It podcast, episode 48, for all our reviews on that. So, well, tonight's fresh take, I wanted to do something a little different. You guys know I am a comic book head, more on the Marvel side with the X-Men, as that's my favorite comic, and I still do read comics, even though some comics, oh boy, they
Doing too
too
much.
well. No, they're trying too hard to get the social media crowd instead of actually making good stories. But that's another talk for another day. But
Yeah,
I want to
I
talk
still agree that's doing too much.
that too. But what I want to talk about is a recent event that just finished on the X Men side of things. It's called Ten of Swords, and I brought with me Andre because we're going to be talking about how that could translate into an actual game. And I want to get his thoughts and ideas on that. Now, the overall gist of Ten of Swords is basically, if you haven't been keeping up with the comics, it's too much for me to go to do a whole synopsis. So I'm just going to talk about the actual Ten of Swords event. We basically have 10 sword bearers from the X-Men universe. Basically, 10 mutants. All of them have to have swords. You have 10 mutants from a land called Araco. They're 10 mutants. They have 10 swords. They all meet in Otherworld to basically have a tournament. Whoever wins gets the prize of taking over the other place.
Hmm.
Now, the story itself actually revolves around Apocalypse, and I have to give Jonathan Hickman and his team credit. When he did the rebrand, the retcon of the X-Men, he actually went and delved into In Sabanur, which I am glad he did because In Sabanur, whether you want to believe it or not, because I've heard people say that he's a weak villain, like, no,
No.
he ain't. And I've seen people on YouTube and other places basically say that Thanos could walk the dog on Apocalypse.
Nah.
No.
Look, Thanos has not gone after him for a reason.
There's a very good reason. Number one, the first reason being Apocalypse has probably got like 20,000 years more combat experience than Thanos does.
Yeah.
He is a mutant who has fully mastered his mutant power because he is immortal, essentially.
Yes, completely.
Yeah, not on the level of Xavier and Magneto. I'm talking about complete mastery of his power, on top of all the learned years of combat.
On top of the celestial technology that's
Yeah,
built into his body.
and on top of the fact that he is actually a mage as well. They did a good job of making, like, he's not OP. Don't get it twisted. Apocalypse is not OP. His OPness on the power front comes from his knowledge.
Yeah.
He's not OP power wise, but he ain't gonna lose either. It's
He is not an easy fight
No,
for anyone.
he's not. And another thing that people need to understand: Thanos does not come equipped with the gauntlet on at all times. He's a regular dude. He's had that gauntlet twice.
Yeah, and he's had things that are better than the gauntlet. So
Yeah, so I don't understand why people think that. But I've always had, Apocalypse always held like a weird place for me because on one end, yes, he's a villain. On the other end, though, he didn't always act like a villain. And this go back to the '90s. There would be stuff that he'd be like, "Nah, I'm not doing that."
and then the Ten of Swords story does actually do a pretty good job of explaining why he was that way.
Yeah, like, and we get to see his wife. Yes, Apocalypse has a wife. Damn, she a bad chick too. Ooh, Lord, she's beautiful. But that's neither here nor there. But the fact of the matter is, she's stronger than him, and she's immortal as well.
Yep.
And you're sitting there, you're like, wait a minute. So at the beginning of the event, you find out what really happened. Apocalypse was essentially one of the world's first heroes because he pretty much saved the planet. But
Yep.
his wife told him that he was too weak and he had to stay. And for the life of me, I'm like, Apocalypse ain't weak how? Until you see her fight, and you're like, oh damn, yeah,
And what
okay,
they fought against.
yeah, you're like, okay, yeah, he had to stay because at the time he was he wasn't the world travel knowledgeable person that he was. He was still powerful, but he wasn't as strong. And the reason why she told him to stay was she was like, get our people, mutants, stronger, so when this thing comes back, they're able to fight. That's why he was always talking about the strongest shall survive. He was trying to see who was strongest because when you see what they had to fight, you're like, yeah, bruh, she had a point. um, really,
Well,
she
she had
had
a
a
major
point.
point.
Yeah, she had a major point. And his four kids, that's who his horsemen were. They were actually his four children who
The
are
original ones, yeah.
the original ones. And you're like, oh, you see them fight, and you're like, how the hell did they ever lose? Because they do a good job of showing them and how good they really are. Now, don't get it twisted. They do. One of them doesn't lose. The other three do. Because Wolverine, and you know who they used to do it? Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you're gonna have them lose to somebody, have them lose to him because they've gone back to his moniker of he's the best there is, and finally they showing you why. Now, the mistress of the ceremonies, the one who put the tournament together, is Saturnine or whatever, and this trifling heifer. I mean,
Oh, she a pain in the ass.
well, the funny thing about it is, they made you think that the only reason why she did this whole tournament was because she wanted basically to bang Brown Braddock.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically, because he's married, he's like, lady, I'm married. I'm not, like, I can fight for you, but I can't with you in that way. I am a married man. I can't do that. And she like, I don't give a hell. I don't give a damn about your wife. Fine. I want you. I'm fine. And he like, heifer, no. so it so basically she pretty much got mad, and she was doing this in a way to do that and get back her Captain Britain Corps, which she got one of them. Mm-hmm. By the end of it, she did get one of them. But the thing about the Ten of Swords event is it goes from like kind of quirky, comedic at times, to very Lord of the Rings, Two Towers, Return of the King. They ain't gonna win this at times, but it makes sense throughout the whole thing. It makes sense. The tournament gets weird. The tournament does downright gets weird. But I will say this: they gave Storm one of the most badass fights in the whole thing, and she left that dude. She left Death to get ate up by vampires on a vampire world where he can't get off.
And this is to show people that Storm isn't just her powers; she can fight.
Yeah, she can fight. Like she ain't nice. Like she ain't just nice.
And
like,
she did that. And she did that partially drunk and weakened.
Yeah, and that's why she did it, because he cheated. She wasn't gonna leave him. Like if he wouldn't have cheated, I don't think she would have left him there.
No.
But he tried to cheat, and she was like, okay, all right, nah, take me to where we supposed to fight at. And I'm like, bruh, matter of fact, every person that grew up around strong women was like, hey, bro, you might not want to take this fight, bro. She done found out you cheated. Forfeit. Yeah, you might want to forfeit, bro, because she gonna hurt you, bro.
But you would think, though, people would realize that Storm was a good close combat fighter, since she was able to go toe to toe with Black Panther for a good bit
on multiple occasions. And T'Challa really wasn't holding back because he couldn't. Because if he did, he'd die. Like the thing with Storm is I think people just get enamored with her power, not realizing what all else she can do. Because she is powerful, but you don't want to see them hands.
And you definitely don't want to see them with her power with them.
Yeah. Yeah. So once again, I think they did a good job in the overall arcing of the event. I even liked how it ended, even though it kind of made me a little mad. I liked how it ended because everybody pretty much got what they want / needed. Like
Yeah.
Apocalypse got to be back with his wife. His wife they got rid of that curse she was under, essentially. Because basically what happened was she went and beat and killed the emperor of the other world. But when you do that,
you have to take on the role.
Yeah, you had to take on the role. And the way that fight went between her and Apocalypse, because it came down to her and Apocalypse. It got even toward the end. And the way it got even was a very gory thing with Gorgon.
Yeah.
That I was like, hey man, props to Gorgon, dude. He went out like a G. And so it's tied, and it's down to this is gonna end the tournament. And it's Apocalypse and Genesis. And she takes it off. She takes the helm off because she's like, nah, I ain't fighting him like this. Because she still love him. They still love each other.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm not fighting him like this. No, I don't need you to win. And Apocalypse basically he doesn't yield. And this is that was really a stand up thing because normally Apocalypse ain't no dumb villain. He's actually smart. So you would think the smart thing to do would be like, okay, look, I'm clearly not gonna kill you. Because he wasn't. We all knew he wasn't going to kill her.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't going to kill her. Fighter, yes. Killer, no. So the quickest thing to do would be to yield and, try to stop it on the back end. Try to stop whatever's going to happen on the back end. He doesn't do that. He beats her, takes the helm. He doesn't kill her. He beats her, takes the helm, and he yields with the helm on.
Yep.
Which causes the entity to basically like, no, I'm going to kill you now, which is exactly what Apocalypse wanted. And that's what Saturn IX wanted too. It was a very well told thing that went, and I know it sounds like I'm talking crazy. Trust me, it makes sense if you've been following from last summer's House of X and Powers of 10. It all makes sense if you've been following it. But here's why I brought Andre on. So we don't really have a true X-Men game. Now we used to have them all the time. I miss the 6th gen. God damn, I miss the 6th gen. So I played Marvel Ultimate Alliance. And the precursor to that was X-Men Legends.
Yep.
And that blew up, and then they did Marvel Ultimate Alliance. I don't know why y'all had to leave. No, why y'all had to stop from.
Well, they did. I think they did the Fantastic Four before they did Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah, and then they did Ultimate Alliance, and then Ultimate Alliance 2, which was one of them was the first one was a new story. The second one was Civil War. Civil War was freaking stupid. But then again, that comic was stupid. And then they did this one, which is Black Order that just came out. So I was thinking in the way that the Black Order is done, would that work game wise, or should they do something akin to like the Arkham Asylum games or something like that? Which I don't think that engine would actually work, but you know what I mean as far as adventure style. Should they do RPG, the JRPG style with Ultimate Alliance, or should they go full on adventure style?
With the way how wonky this story is, probably with the following the footsteps of Ultimate Alliance 3, because the adventure style requires a lot more work to put it together, and I just don't think that would be suitable for this, especially with how some of those weird fights went down, like the one where Betsy Braddock and I can't remember her name, but the one that can't lose.
Yeah, Inca.
Yeah, she lost that outright. Swords clashed, and
she's straight shattered.
Just gone. So they're gonna be rebranding that character. Then you had the fight that wasn't a fight that became a wedding.
Oh, between Doug and Bay.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know how that's gonna work. I don't know how. See, those certain examples would fit in because you'd have to build an engine around everything.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they're just going to do cutscenes for that type of stuff, but that would probably irritate people.
Well, that one would just need to be a cutscene, just because that was just the weirdest thing that happened. That was just the weirdest thing that happened in there. Now the other stuff, I think you could probably get, like when they made Wolverine, when Saturn IX made Wolverine do that catwalk, the modeling thing
when they were drunk.
Yeah, and she made him do the modeling thing.
Yeah.
You could do that because you could do that as like a mini
It's a
game.
mini game.
Yeah, something like that. But
Well,
I was
also there's I was thinking about the scene where Wolverine thinks to himself about how things would go if he killed her, and she shows him.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be better for Ultimate Alliance because you could stage everything independently.
Yeah. So with that being said, okay, we go Ultimate Alliance route. Now the only problem I had with Ultimate Alliance 3, Black Order, was the crystal management. That needs to go. That 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 needs to go. That thing. One, if I don't know who it made sense to, um, but it didn't make sense to me, honestly, because it was just a lot of stuff just thrown at you. They did not do a good job of explaining. They just said, "Hey, just pick which one you want and just put it to your character." Okay. So that system needs, yeah, that needs to go. But they probably need to come up with like at least another upgrading system, I guess.
Or they could roll back to what they used to do.
Yeah,
The
which
more
was
you play with a character, the more stuff they are able to do over time.
go back to the X Men Legends way of doing it. That
Yeah,
that would make
that
sense.
characters' abilities unlock at certain checkpoints that, not certain checkpoints, but certain milestones you reach with the character.
Yeah, just then everybody had more than four because they only got four moves in this game, but in the original you had like more than that, and now you had to pick and choose which four you wanted to use.
Yeah,
But
but you could always, but doing that gave you strategy and it set up different combos with certain characters. So yeah, I would prefer it be that way.
yeah, and the game wouldn't be short because that you can make that a good 30, 40 hours.
Yeah, especially if you want to throw in some side stuff like the
The stuff with Cyclops and Jean when they were trying to break in.
yeah, that and with the thieves market, whatever it's called,
Oh, the yeah,
with Mad Jim Jaspers.
yeah, Jaspers, yeah,
You got a lot of side stuff that they could put in there.
yeah,
So like,
because
and you can expand upon some of the stuff that they didn't really talk about.
yeah, because they did have a lot of side, not not tie-ins in the old sense of the word. They went with the actual event. They
Mhm.
just was outside of the actual tournament.
Yeah,
Stuff that was happening outside of the tournament. Because once again, you only got the 10 fighters. That should be, and that way you can like keep your roster kind of down because you only have the 10 main fighters
yep,
from each side. So boom, you got 20. You got 20 characters right there, and you can just stay on those. Now, Cyclops and Jean, that stuff can be like DLC or whatever, because that truly was like when they come into the story with Jubilee and all of them. That's right at the end where it goes full on Lord of the Rings,
mm,
and that was like the last book. That was only the last chapter because that's actually right after the fight with Apocalypse and Genesis. So that when that happens, that's pretty much at the end. So you're right. If you want to do like little side stuff, you can do that in DLC, like little side stuff like that. And you can that way you could bring in those other characters if you want to. But I think you got enough meat with that regular story and regular characters that you can get away with at least a maybe 30 to 50 hour game,
yeah,
maybe.
be in that range because like you're not going to throw everything at everybody all at once.
Yeah. And everybody doesn't read the series, so I don't expect them to have them like going expressly by what was done. But I think it can work because one, don't get me wrong, I like Marvel Ultimate Alliance, but I'm an X Men fan. I don't care for when I play Ultimate Alliance. I only play, and you probably laugh at me. I only play with the black characters and the X Men. I don't play with nobody else. I don't play with Cap. I don't play with Iron Man. I don't play with Hulk. I don't play with Thor. I don't play with Hawkeye. I don't play with Wasp. I don't play with none of them. I play with the black characters and the X Men, the mutants. That's what I play with because that's the stuff I read. I know more about their characters anyway. I don't really care for nobody else. I really don't. And that's not saying they suck because they don't. I've seen other people play with them and they got good move sets. I just don't care. I don't care for them. So I play
That's
with
a
who I like.
preference thing.
Yeah, it's a preference thing. I play with who I like. My nephew, he loves Spider-Man. All he want to play with is Miles Morales and Peter Parker. He don't want to play with nobody else. He got them leveled up to like 180 right now. I'm like, just them two, just them two. like, okay, all right, but I would want them to go back to actually because the X-Men as a franchise, yeah, 20th Century Fox screwed them over,
Yeah, they did.
especially Apocalypse.
Ugh,
Woosah, woosah.
I'm not
Oh,
gonna say nothing
yeah,
about
okay, but that
even though we all know that Apocalypse is African, so I don't.
which I'm glad they actually brought that up in Ten of Swords because Genesis is straight up black. She got the two blue things on her head to signify they're from the same tribe,
Yeah,
but she's black.
I don't know who decided that. I don't know who in Hollywood decided that you were going to take Apocalypse from being African, but
Yeah. And even then, and me and you both said this before that movie came out. We said, why is he not CG?
should have been full CG.
Yep.
With all of
And
his powers, he should have been full CG.
and I like Oscar Isaac. I'm not saying he's not a good actor, but Oscar Isaac ain't got the voice for this. They should have had James Earl Jones or Liam Neeson or somebody or Keith Davidson or Keith David or somebody with a deep voice to do that. Because personally, I would have said go back and get the guy who voiced him in the animated series, but he died in 2005 from cancer, so they couldn't get him. But I would have said get somebody that Oscar Isaac. I love him, great actor, not for that role.
Mm-mm.
That's why Kevin Feige, I'm pinning my hopes on you, buddy. I'm pinning my hopes on you, buddy. So, I mean, hopefully they will bring in Apocalypse. They'll do him some justice like he deserves because a lot of people don't. They think Apocalypse is weak, and I'm like, he is not.
Oh, he's, if anything, even though he's probably not the most powerful mutant, he's up there. He's near the top. He's near the very top.
He's one of those. Doctor Doom won't mess with him.
Nah, Doctor Doom's like, not like he can't. Who wants to come to Latveria? Oh, roll out the red carpet.
Yeah,
Let
Doom
him
will
walk
not.
in. We not
Doom
fighting.
will not fight Apocalypse. Let that sink in.
And Doom is ambitious as hell.
Yeah, he don't want the smoke with Apocalypse. I mean, one of my favorite issues of the comic is X-Men #4, where Apocalypse, Magneto, and Xavier go and meet the world leaders, and Apocalypse just straight up tells them, "I killed everybody at Troy." He said it was him. I'm like, God damn, Apocalypse, what the brother? Really? I
It's
mean,
like, oh, y'all was in the wrong. I was just righting your wrong. So
yeah, it's basically because they were asking him about because everybody at this point, everybody in all the world governments know that immortals do exist. They already know that, and
yep.
they know Apocalypse. They know Apocalypse. So they were asking him a question, and I guess dude was trying to be a smart ass about, oh, so you were there? He's like, yeah, they failed at me. I'm like, next time, keep your mouth shut.
Like, dude, don't like you don't know what you're about to get us into.
Yeah,
Just
just shut.
it's like, look, this is the new guy. Please don't let him get us all killed.
Yeah, yeah. Like, dude, just shut up. Like, because it was funny because you could tell like the way they positioned the panel, the comic panel, the other people in the panel just look like, damn it, Kevin. I'm paraphrasing, of course, because I don't have the comic in front of me, but you get the gist.
That's because they're trying to do negotiations with Krakoa for their miracle drugs and shit.
Yeah. And it, basically what Apocalypse was telling them was basically, don't toy with me. Like, do not toy with me because that's the reason why they didn't bring Apocalypse there for intimidation. They brought him there because he done been through all this before.
Mm-hmm.
You're not smart enough to outwit him, basically.
Nah, not after all the shit he's seen.
Yeah. So really, Xavier didn't even have to go, to be honest.
But Xavier is the peaceful face of the group, or at least that's what people like to believe.
Yeah, I mean, the way they did the sequence makes sense because you have the one that can keep the peace, quote unquote. You got Magneto to keep them because they're still afraid of him, and you got an Apocalypse that is not asleep.
Yep.
In other words, if you was thinking about doing something stupid,
Best not to. See. I'm thinking like it probably would be good to do House of X and
Powers of 10.
yeah, because you think about it, because that leads into it, and you got to do all that stuff with more McTaggart that explains why they're all together and
Yeah,
why they're all
that's true.
working together. Because originally nobody knew she was a mutant. Everybody thought she was human.
Yeah, and they did that perfectly, by the way. So yeah, you probably would need to start either have a game just doing House of X and Powers of 10,
Yep.
and then the next one would be you could do Ten of Swords.
I mean, it could all be done in one game. Just do it as different segments, though I know
Yeah,
that would be a lot.
yeah,
But at the same time, it explains how they all got together, why they're all huddled and working together instead of at each other's throats like they used to be.
yeah. You know what? No, you're right. They got to have that in there because once again, I've read the comics, but most people haven't.
No, they
So
haven't. They'd be like, well, like anybody that just knows that thinks of Apocalypse as the bad guy is gonna be like, why is Apocalypse working with Professor
Xavier,
X?
yeah, like he would
But
never
like,
do.
and then
Yeah,
you think, well, why would he be working with Magneto? They never really got along with each other.
yeah. Now Apocalypse and Magneto really didn't get along.
Nah, they did not.
Like Apocalypse respected Xavier. Apocalypse wanted to kill, kill Magneto. That was a whole different level of relationship right there. It
He
was,
he respected his power, but not his attitude.
yeah, he just didn't. That's why that was another thing that I thought was very interesting. And like they didn't completely retcon that. They didn't completely retcon none of the stuff. They kept some stuff. They just took away like the stuff that didn't work for what the story they're trying to tell.
Hmm.
So I actually kind of like that with Hickman's run so far, because it actually makes it more interesting as opposed to not. Now, there are some stuff that I think that people probably wouldn't like just because, like, once again, Cyclops, Jean, Iceman, they're all sidelined for
Yeah.
this. They're all sidelined. So there's some music that you probably don't know anything about, like, and there's some that really shouldn't have been there, like Doug. Doug should not have been there.
Though I do like how they made him expand on how his power works rather than him just learning through hearing language. He starts to learn body language, and that affects how well he can fight. Because that's something that they could improve a lot over time.
Yeah, and I like the fact that even though they were still there, Apocalypse was still training everybody while they were there
Yep.
because he was the one that helped Doug because Doug. All right, the funny thing about the Doug and Bay situation, when Bay takes her helmet off, he's like, "God damn, she fine." Like that's basically what happened. But he can't talk to her because she's speaking and he don't understand what she's saying. Apocalypse does. Apocalypse and
Which is the
Genesis
weird
does.
thing.
Yeah, both of them. Apocalypse and Genesis understand what she's saying, but the mutant that has the ability to understand everything does not understand what she's saying. And she actually, it went both ways. Like they both were like, "Oh, he's cute, she's cute," and that's how it started. But then when Iska was talking about challenging Doug, Bay was like, "You gonna have to fight me first." And for some reason, the unbeaten didn't want to smoke.
She's like, I'm gonna leave that one alone.
Yeah, like the unbeaten don't want to smoke. Wait a minute, you ain't never lost though.
Her power is literally to be unbeatable.
Yeah, which I would love to see her and Domino mix it up.
Because Domino's power is to sway luck in her favor.
Yeah, so look in her favor, and basically that's Iska's power is kind of like that. It's probability manipulation, essentially.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So I just think that would be an interesting. Which they actually bring that up in there,
Yeah, they
but
did. It was, I think it was Magic and
Magic and Cable, young
yeah,
Cable.
they were talking about it. It was like, how would that fight go?
Yeah, because it and that actually got me thinking. Like, yeah, that would actually be interesting, but that would probably go on too long. It would
Yeah,
come down to stamina after that, and you know,
and I
that
think that would mean that Domino would lose. I think
yeah,
Domino would lose that fight.
yeah, because if it comes down to straight up, because Iska's just way more seasoned as a fighter. Now, I would love to see her and Wolverine and Sabretooth go at it, but Wolverine got his own one to fight Solemn. That dude
Mm.
looks like that is one dude I can't wait to see what they do with him in the future because they kind of made it seem like him and Wolverine have an understanding.
They don't like each other, but they gotta respect.
Yeah, basically, because both of them don't lose, and
Generally, no, they don't.
both of them are killers. Because apparently, Solomon killed like one of them husband, but she can't do nothing about it because what's she gonna do about it?
She
You
can't
can't
fuck
beat
with
me.
him.
Yeah, you can't beat me. So what you gonna do about it? Which he taunts her the whole time, which is hilariously funny. And they were on the same side, so it's just one of those weird things. But I think those interactions could actually work well in a game together too.
Yeah.
So the whole team up aspect, especially in what was in Dark Order, that would be great for this game. If they were to do something like that, that would be great for it. Just because of all the team up options. Now, I would love to see Apocalypse because they actually let Apocalypse sword fight with the Great Scarab blade. Which
I would not want to see that man with a sword.
I mean, I'm glad the only person he did have to fight was Genesis, because if he would have fought anybody else, he would have killed him.
More than likely, yeah.
And it probably would have been by accident. Not even, yeah. Because as much as they hyped up Iska, Iska ain't beating Apocalypse.
She ain't beating him, nah.
No, she ain't beating. Her power was gonna lose.
It would help for a little bit.
Yeah, but it wouldn't. Yeah, and the funny thing about it, did you get the feeling that Saturnine was? She wasn't afraid of him because she was in her realm, but she wasn't like she wasn't toying with Apocalypse. She was toying with everybody else.
Nah, she realized what would happen if she messed with him.
Yeah, so it's one of them situations where like the two people she wasn't toying with was Genesis and Apocalypse. Like everybody else, she toyed with the whole and Brian Braddock, but that's for other
That was
reasons.
personal reasons.
Yeah, it was personal reasons. But everybody else, she was messing with the whole time because Doug was. I felt bad for Doug and I can't remember his freaking the phalanx dude that's with him, Doug Locke.
Yeah, Douglock.
Yeah, because I just knew they was gonna get killed. I'm like, yeah, they gonna kill him. I'm like, he ain't no fighter. Like, why in the world would they pick him? And then the way they made it seem like with Doug like being like, hey, you know what? Don't worry about it, friend. I'll keep you safe. I'm like, Doug, I just saw all 10 of them. You losing. Like, I don't understand how you can't understand this. You're not beating any of them. Either one of you. Which was actually that's the only person I feared for. Even though I probably should have been fearful for like young Cable because Cable got his ass tore up.
He got beat.
I'm like beat. I'm like, dude, why do you have a sword? You should have a gun. Like this is the perfect time for you to have a gun blade from Final Fantasy VIII. That's what you should have had.
Well, that's not what they gave him.
Yeah, that's not what they gave him. And it was clear that he was at a severe disadvantage because he doesn't know how to. He's not a sword wielder. He don't know how to fight with no blade.
He's not as seasoned as the original Cable either.
Yeah, because his power, like if he could use his mutant power better, yeah, he would have had a better chance. But nah, not against.
Still learning.
Yeah, not against what he was fighting. Like no. So yeah, so it's situations like that, and I would love to see how the one-on-one fights would play out in a game aspect because they would have to be one-on-one fights essentially when you do the tournament stuff.
Yeah,
it'd have to be like one-on-one. You know, okay, do this fight for this person, and they can't be team stuff. Now the team stuff will come like because there were team fights in there. Like I said, that whole entire event was. We're not lying when we say it's weird.
Oh, it definitely is.
Yeah.
The way the lead up to it seemed so normal until you got into the tournament. Then everything just went off the rails.
And the way they did it, they made it seem like it was all going to Saturnine whims. She was just having, hey, I'm doing this my way. Because they all thought it was gonna be one-on-one fight. Then you see a tournament bracket. No, that's not how this goes. And they didn't know that they were going to be modeling battle. They didn't know what somebody.
And they got points
married.
for points for different things. I'm like, But you didn't explain this to us.
Yeah, because like especially the one where Wolverine killed the dude, she like, oh, she ordered to point to Araco because
Because it was a fight to
to
survive, not to
fight,
kill.
yeah, not to kill. And I'm like, but you told them at the beginning it was a. I'm like, okay, so you just changing it on you. Yep, her world, her rules, essentially.
I
But
still
like,
think that was a stupid rule. Like, but like was just said, like your mutant power is. I think she based it on his mutant power
yeah,
because he essentially can't really be killed, and that was the problem. Like,
yeah. But you the one who said he had to show up.
you're kind of playing fast and loose here.
Yeah, and, but once again, like I said, she messed with everybody except Apocalypse and Genesis. She wasn't messing with them like
Either
that.
one of them would have murdered her.
Yeah, and they would have been like, okay. And Apocalypse, since he's a mage as well, like he knows how to get rid of her,
Mm-hmm.
and she knows it. And Genesis has that helm of that whatever that Amenth god was. If she puts that thing on, I don't think Saturnine wanted to lose every. But like she probably would have stood a better chance, but she was gonna lose everybody else.
Yeah, I think Jim Jaspers would have been the only thing that she'd had left.
Yeah, and that's because that place is just weird.
And
They,
because of how his powers work, with
yeah,
him manipulating matter, so he probably would have been fine, but everything else would have been gone.
yeah, everything else would have been gone. So, yeah, that's the one of those things where I was like, yeah, that would be interesting to see how that would work in a game mechanic. Because that way you could get away with the little side quest, the little mini game stuff.
Yeah, I mean they could always just throw in and increase what Jim Jasper's role is, and use him as like because he's a matter manipulator. Use it and say that okay, well he's fixing the arena, and you can draw it out to be whatever type of fight you want it to be at that point.
That makes sense. So, so Disney, Koei Tecmo, Marvel,
Get
y'all
on it.
wanna get on it? And we ain't got to make this exclusive like y'all did for the Black Order or whatever.
Nah, they best bet is to make it exclusive.
I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be nice.
Look, that's how they spend the least amount of money and get the biggest game back.
Facts. I can't argue with facts because Marvel's Avengers. Whoo, boy.
I would never go that route with them again.
Yeah. Nah. Yeah. Sometimes less is better,
Yeah,
and sometimes you don't need to make a superhero Destiny loot game.
definitely didn't need to do that.
Yeah. But that's another story for another day, as they say. But I do think that if they were going to look towards one to do a game off of, I think this would be a more interesting one than some of the other stuff that just dropped, as far as new stuff anyway.
Yeah.
I think Ten of Swords would be more interesting actually,
Mm.
and plus using that cell shade style, you can actually play with the art a little bit, especially when you start having to fight the horde.
Yeah.
And there you go, you got a horde mode.
How
Now
long can you survive?
that horde mode would actually work because, like, once again, the last chapter of that is where all hell breaks loose, and it's Lord of the Rings. It's literally Lord of the Rings.
Everybody just jumps in to fight.
Yeah. So what happens is the wielder of the helm has access to the actual horde, and the horde. If you think the Outriders were bad, the Outriders ain't jack compared to that horde, because they were killing them, but every time they killed them, 5 more showed up.
Yep.
And everybody had to fight. Araco and Krakoa had to fight together because they started turning on the Araco people. I'm like,
they immediately turned on them.
yeah. So because Genesis wasn't the one holding the helm, and
It was at that point it was just acting on its own.
yeah, because he got mad because Apocalypse yielded. I find it funny though. Now one of them came and messed around. Like, don't y'all want to smoke? Don't y'all want to smoke? I mean, come on. The main two y'all mad at right now. Don't y'all want to smoke?
Like, I'm mad, but I'm not gonna fight you.
Or your wife that's right next to you.
Like, no,
I'll go kill all these
I'll
other folks.
take all them.
Yeah.
Like, it'll hurt you more if I take out them. Like,
In front of y'all, yeah. I'm gonna kill your kids in front of you. How about that?
they couldn't even do that.
But you can't. But you do know my kids are my level too. Hey guys, hold, come back. We gotta rethink this. Hold on. No, we gotta rethink this. Come back. All right, so this is what we're gonna do. that would have been hilarious. Only in Deadpool's world would that happen. But yeah. But yeah, I think that could work. If you have read the Ten of Swords event, if you have, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Do you think it could work game wise, and would you need a lead in, or would you think it could work straight up? I think after hearing what Andre said, it does kind of need a lead in, just because they retcon so much stuff with the X-Men that you kind of do need a lead in into that before you go dive into that. So, and the other thing too is I know a lot of people have their favorite X-Men, and this event does whittle that down.
Because it works with specific characters. Like, you're not going to find anybody from Excalibur or it's just a lot of fan favorites that won't show up.
Yeah, like,
just because there are specific characters used for it.
Yeah, like if you like Cyclops and Jean, you're not gonna see him. If you like Iceman and X-23, you're not gonna see her. If you like, because they're not. Now, once again, Cyclops, Jean, and Gambit and Jubilee, they all show up in that last book.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the first time they show up in the whole event.
Well, no, Jubilee showed up before then, but she got sent off.
Yeah, she got sent off
because of her and her dragon.
Yeah, that was so. Yeah, that was funny, but that was cool too. That was actually cool too, because I could see them throwing that into the game, at the end, like I said, when you do that final chapter, because when Jubilee does get her dragon back, you can do that as a yeah, because they. I like how in stories now they make dragons basically nuclear weapons.
Might as well.
Yeah, but that dragon is a little bit different, so to speak. Just know that's a little bit of a different dragon, which would need to be explained in the recent. That's why you kind of do need the House of X Powers 10 thing to go into that, because that kind of gets explained a little bit in there. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I think I would love for them to do that. I think it would work, honestly, especially if you let a team like Koei Tecmo. I like what Koei Tecmo did with and Team Ninja did with the Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. I like what they did with it. I would love for them to do a straight up X-Men game. Because I think it's been way too long since we had a decent one. I don't count X-Men Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
I don't count that. But I think it's been, and even then it's still been too long, because that was what, 2011, 12.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean it's time, I think, for us to get something like that.
It could use.
Yeah, and that would be a good thing to get people hyped for X-Men being brought into the MCU, since now they are going to start getting trickled in, if rumors are to be believed. Reports are to be believed. We already know that they're coming. If reports are to be believed about certain characters trickling in certain shows and movies,
mm-hmm.
That'll be a good way to get the gaming side taken care of. Because the X-Men games usually weren't bad. Even that Wolverine's Revenge, the X2 Wolverine's Revenge thing, that one
wasn't a bad game. It just had weird controls.
It had weird controls. The one they did for I forgot which team did. Was it High Moon? The one
I don't even remember.
The really violent one that let you like dismember people. That one was actually not bad either. I think that was 2010 or so on the 360 and PS3. I think.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, that one I actually like too. Like they have good X-Men games in the past. I think it got one of those situations where Activision had the license once, then somebody else had the license, then Raven had the license, then yeah, so that license has been
It
something
changed
everywhere.
too many hands.
Yeah, so I think since especially since Disney's supposed to be bringing back their gaming arm, they just need to grab that license and be like, look, this is ours. So put that under Marvel and just let Marvel have their games with Marvel. So
Yep.
and please God, don't ever give nothing to Square Enix again. But that's gonna do it for this fresh take. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like, share, subscribe, all the other good stuff, and we'll see you guys on our next vid. Peace out, peeps.
Peace.